Every step you take builds a better you.
Hey, welcome back. Today's focus is on building better habits. It turns out that making a bad habit is unconscious and it happens really easily, but making a good, healthy habit is really hard to build and it's very hard to keep. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And my name's Sherry Ann Lee. I'm the owner of Best Self, which offers walking psychotherapy, coaching, and personal training all outside of nature. It's my passion to help you build a better you. Today we're going to focus in on three things. First, we're going to focus in on what is a keystone habit. Second, we're going to focus on keeping the habits going. Third, we're going to focus on how to build a good habit. So I want you to tap into your can-do attitude, and I want you to learn some tools so that you can build some better habits. So what are keystone habits? Keystone habits is one habit that is so powerful that it creates a rippling effect in other areas of your life. What they do is if you can have a habit go on automatic pilot, what that does is it frees your mind up so it doesn't really have to think and make decisions about what to do, and it gives it more ability to think about the things that you want to think about. Also, it helps reduce stress and makes you feel like you're at the top of your game. So some examples of keystone habits are exercising. It turns out that that happens to be the number one keystone habit. People who exercise on a daily basis sleep better, eat better, and research shows that they spend less money than those people who do not exercise. Eating healthy, same thing. If you eat healthy, you're going to have more energy, you're going to feel better about yourself, you're going to think better, and it is a keystone habit. And last but not least, and we'll talk a lot about this today, keystone habit is sleep. Getting 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep every night turns out to have a rippling effect all throughout your day. And we'll focus more on that as it goes. Okay, so before we go into building a habit, I think it's super important for people to know about the process of change, because sometimes people get this idea that change is just like a door that you walk through. And it's not really that easy, and we need to discover why it's not so easy so that we can build and keep a better habit. So when we're thinking about building a habit, we go through a cycle of habit change. So right here at the bottom of the cycle, you're thinking about building a habit. So let's say I'm thinking about having the habit of sleeping 7.5 to 8 hours a night. So what I'm going to do when I'm down here at this stage is I'm going to research the benefits of sleep. It turns out that the benefits are linked to better performance all day long. I would be able to think better, and there's some research saying that my appetite will go down because I'm not affecting my leptin and my ghrelin levels. There's some incredible research out there. You guys have heard of the 10,000 hour rule, that some people think it's not accurate, but a lot of people hang their hat on that rule. And that's if somebody did something for 10,000 hours, they become proficient in that skill. Well, there's some data, new data, saying that those people that spent the 10,000 hours and that are very successful in their field, such as Bill Gates, Mozart, anybody who's really professional, they happen to sleep 7.5 to 8 hours a night every night. So they made a sleep a priority. That's why it's my New Year's goal. So boom, you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it hard. Then up here you start to plan it. So what I did for myself is I planned how many hours would I sleep a day. And then I gave myself a little push by backing it up and looking at the week, the month, the year. So I need to accumulate a precise amount of hours. So my goal is completely specific. Another thing that I did when I was planning, I got to track it. So I got some apps. I used 2 apps to monitor my sleep. One is called Pillow. It's pretty ridiculous because it monitors the sound in the room, so I'm pretty sure I'm getting my husband's snoring credits. And the other one is just a timer. So I'm timing my sleep and I'm using the app to determine the quality of my sleep. I need to have alarms. For me, I love to stay up at night. Everybody knows that. And I need an alarm to tell me to go to sleep. And then I also need an alarm clock in the morning to get me up, and I need to have a sleep schedule. So that's all under the category of planning the habit. And then when you're doing the habit, you're setting reminders for yourself. I'm using my reminders to start my bedtime routine, reminders to use my iPad by my bed. I'm letting everybody know that this is a goal. I let all my clients know that I'm accumulating sleep hours this year. And I'm going to start developing healthy routines around that. Now, here's the key thing. A lot of times people think that, oh, okay, you know, as soon as I do a habit, geez, if I only do it for 30 days, it's already going to go into a habit and I don't need to worry about it. I want you to know that that 30-day habit rule, that is based on research for ghost limbs. It turns out when people were in war and they lost a limb, it took the person 30 days to realize that they didn't have a limb, and that's what they base that research on. If you go in there and you research habits deeply, you'll find that a habit takes different amount of time depending on the person and what the habit is. For example, drinking water at each meal is an easy habit to get. You'll get that in 30 days. But exercising on a consistent basis, not really 30 days. It's more going to take you a year to a year and a half to get a habit like that under your belt. So with that in mind, we want to maintain a new habit, a new behavior, but there's something called behavioral drift. And this is where we forget about the habit. We go back to our old ways of doing things, or quite frankly, we just give up because we had a week where we only had 4 or 5 hours of sleep and we're thinking there's no way we can ever reach our goal. So what we're going to be focusing on is preventing behavioral drift and getting back on track sooner as opposed to later. All right, so when we talk about building a better habit, I quite frankly think that this whole thing about willpower is a bunch of BS. If you look out there at the research, everything that I've ever read about willpower says that it's a hard thing to rely on. I had some research that I read last week saying that they researched a group of highly educated chimpanzees and highly educated humans, and they put them in a room and they determined if they wanted to have 6 treats, and of course everybody said yes. I don't know how they got that from the chimpanzees, but they definitely wanted more food. And they set them a timer and they said, you know, if you wait for 2 minutes you can have all 6, but if you choose not to wait you can only have 2. And it turns out that the chimpanzees did way better than the humans. They got 75% of the time they waited and got all 6 treats, whereas the humans weren't able to wait. They used their higher level of thinking to think, geez, maybe I can just go to the store and buy the treat, whereas the chimpanzees waited for it. So that's how good our willpower is. Not to say that there's anything wrong with humans, but it's certainly something that I wouldn't rely on. So when I'm looking at building a better habit, I'm quite frankly looking at arranging the environment to build some cues for your behaviors. So for example, I have my iPad by my bed and I track my sleep on my iPad rather than my watch or my phone because I've been waking up to my iPad every single day for the last 5 years. So it's really important for me to continue using that. So I'm going to cue my behavior with my environment. And I'm also going to take behaviors that I already do, such as using my iPad, and I'm going to pair it with my current behaviors. I'm also going to create rules for myself. So my rule is I have to sleep 7.5 to 8 hours a night. I have some rules about what time I go to bed, what time I wind down to go to bed. I have to make it fun. I have to reward it. I don't know if this is a reward, but I have a big line down my face from I slept 10 hours last night. This isn't really a reward, but I feel pretty good. What I'm going to do is a little bit of the habit every day. So if I'm talking about an exercise habit or eating healthy, I want to do a little bit every day to help keep me on track. And I also want to do the habit when I remember. For example, this week I accidentally forgot to turn off my sleep app, so I actually got credit for, I don't know, like 23 hours of sleep because it connected nighttime and daytime. And on habits like that, as soon as you forget, you just want to click it and do it as soon as you remember. A good example of that is putting your keys back. If you have a station where you put your keys, you forget about it, you wake up in the middle of the night, you get up and you put your keys where they're supposed to go so that you can help build the habit. You want to tie habits to core beliefs, life purpose, and think about the benefits often. I'm just really curious about this 10,000 rule and this research on sleep. They say that sleep is one of the best things that you can do for yourself, so I'm just giving it a shot. So it turns out that good habits are not automatic, and they must be driven into practice with awareness, rules, backup strategies, lots of courage, and patience.
Remember, every step you take builds a better you.